Shalom. This week's Sedra is Vayeshev. Doubt and uncertainty is an uncomfortable place to be. When people can't plan for their future or events occur that call a person's plans into question, a person can become distraught. This is a dangerous state of being, as the vulnerability that a person experiences can cause them to make disastrous mistakes. In this week's Torah portion, we read of the uncertainty that dreams can bring. In the past, people believed that dreams predicted the future. Today, we know and understand that dreams are the expression of an overtaxed subconscious. God wrote, the cupbearer and the baker of the king of Egypt, the Paroah, who were confined in prison, dreamed in the same night, each his own dream, and each dream with its own meaning. When Yosef came to them in the morning, he saw that they were emotional. He asked Paroah's servants who were with him in prison, "Why do you appear different today?" God's description of the servants being emotional was a source of debate between our scholars. The Radak wrote that each one of the servants was deeply upset about the dream that he had had. The Radak explained that they were upset because they could not figure out its significance. Rashi wrote that the servants were sad, as in sullen and displeased. The Chizkuni, who usually follows Rashi's line of reasoning, disagreed with him in this case, and he wrote that the servants considered the dreams a good sign. They did not understand why they were still in jail, and they considered appealing to Paroah, who might have just forgotten about them. Their optimism caused them to be emotional. Those are the three different opinions we see about the dreams. When we juxtapose God's description of the servants' reaction to their dream to next week's Torah portion and Paroah's reaction to his dreams of the cows and the wheat, we find a significant difference. God wrote, next morning, his spirit was pa'am, that's the Hebrew word, we're not going to translate it for now. And he sent for all the magicians of Egypt and all its wise men. And Paroah told them his dreams, but none could interpret them for Paroah. Rashi explained that Paroah's spirit, pa'am, was agitated. It rang within him like a bell. While the servants were either saddened or excited with anticipation, Paroah's dreams caused him to be agitated. Although we tend to avoid this truth, people know that they're responsible for their actions, and what goes around comes around. As we read in Pirkei Avos, Hillel saw a skull floating on the surface of the water, and he said to it, "Because you drowned others, they drowned you, and those that drowned you will eventually be drowned." The Rambam explained that Hillel was saying to this skull that because you killed someone, you were killed. Bad things end up happening to people who themselves are bad. It is clear that when someone creates evil in the world, that evil comes back to haunt them. The opposite is true as well. When they do something good, that same good will come back to them. What goes around comes around. But all too often we like to ascribe events in our lives to the divine, metaphysical, or spiritual realms. It's so much easier that way. In truth, if we look at most tragedies in our lives, obviously a generality with clear exceptions, we see that it is mostly our actions that have caused the tragedy. Dreams and the uncertainty of life disturb us because we know that the future is largely dependent on our own actions. Prone to mistakes, man suffers the fate of his errors. It is the doubt sowed in the back of our minds that keeps us awake and agitated at night. But this fear is a mixture of anticipation of a better future and a sadness over past mistakes. Our scholars debate which was the prevailing emotion of the servants. With the ego of a leader, though, Paroah didn't allow himself excitement or fear. He was simply agitated. The lesson for our lives is to recognize that uncertainty is natural, but it shouldn't dictate our emotional balance. A healthy reaction to the fear of uncertainty is thinking about our next steps. By making the right choices, we take control of our future. What an important lesson from this week's Sedra. Shabbat Shalom, and thanks for watching.